At the start of the pandemic, an estimated 20% of Americans were dealing with some form of mental illness, about 50 million people. And by this time last year, more than 30% struggled with anxiety or depression. Now, News 19's Colton Emsweiler is here after several groups came together, Colton, to learn to better handle the most severe cases.
It's called CIP training, Dave. That stands for Crisis Intervention Partners, hosted by the La Crosse Police Department and other agencies. For those experiencing any problems, help is always around, at least organizers feel it should be, hence this two-day training seminar where roughly a dozen organizations teamed up to collaborate on how to handle a situation when it does arise. An important step being learning the signs and symptoms of a mental health crisis, leading something LCPD officials say they are quite familiar with.
We have a tendency to be called sometimes on some of those members of our community's worst days, and they are calling for help. And so their crisis is their crisis, and we're there to support them. How do we support them in that moment? But then down the road, what resources do we have in the community that we can partner with, build relationships with, and provide that consumer the support necessary, not just on the day we're responding, but in the weeks and the months to follow.
And the CIP training is not to be confused with CIT, which Captain Schatz says lasts 5 days for officers covering similar topics. And the police department does have a dedicated community resource unit, Dave, who specialize in these types of situations, and they're on pace to receive 1,500 total calls by the end of the year, just 18 months since its inception.
All right, Colton, thanks very much. Wisconsin and Minnesota residents struggling with anxiety and depression are lower than the national average, both states at just under 25%.